We're smack dab in the middle of the holiday season, so Greg and I go over some of our holiday shooting tips, including how to make your photo and video slideshow right on your iPhone, and go over a little bit of end of year review of the podcast. It's Monday, December 19th, and this is the iPhoneography podcast. Welcome, everyone. This is Dave Podner, and with me, in a separate position, normally he's the one saying hello to everyone, it's Greg McMillan.
Hello,
How's it
Dave.
going today, Greg?
It's going
Hello.
very well. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's
we're we're trying to switch a couple things up a little bit just to keep things fresh.
yeah. Yeah, we're
So
just, we're game to try anything. So um,
exactly.
that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Well, that
Um,
is one of the great things about podcasts is that if we make a decision to change things around and we both agree on it, we don't have to get it approved by a boss or the higher ups or a producer,
that's right.
since it's just the two of us.
That's right. We are both producers and we're producing. So yeah, we were talking before we hit the record button about the weather, as we always do, because
Oh
we
yeah.
live in different parts of the continent. And I was saying that we did get a little bit more snow, not like this time a month ago, um, where we had like 3 feet in about 36 hours. So it's been a little more pleasant. My back is not sore, and I, I took the snowblower out today just because I just wanted to get it done. And I mean, I could have shoveled my driveway, but I didn't. It's easier to fix a snowblower than it is to fix a back. So, but you got
That
just a
is
bit of a
true.
dusting, right?
Yeah, we barely got a dusting.
Yeah,
Basically woke up in the morning and looked outside and saw snow on the grass, but none on the road, luckily.
yeah,
And that's as Ruth said, that's when it's pretty. When it
yeah,
doesn't affect how you're moving around, but there's just enough that it covers everything with
yep,
a pretty, like, okay, oh, this is so wonderful. We're in the middle of Christmas week, or we're at the beginning of Christmas week, and it looks wintry, and we don't have to worry about it. I actually had a Facebook memory from 2 years ago. And I want to say we had, I forget, probably around 4 to 8 inches of
oh yeah.
snowfall that day.
That's
Now, admittedly, that's yeah,
that's about what
that's
we
where it gets
got.
to be an inconvenience. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's when it
yeah,
gets to be, at least for us, a major inconvenience in terms of, I hope I don't have to go to the store.
yeah. Well, you know
Oh
what?
boy, I better hope we don't have to leave the house.
Yeah. Speaking of being in the middle of the holidays, that's something that we're going to talk about tonight. Is we're smack dab in the middle of the holiday season, and we're going to talk about holiday shooting tips. So, family photos,
Mm-hmm.
shooting decorations, and food photography, and that sort of thing. But before we get to that, because it's basically the end of the year, or really close to it, um, I thought we'd just mention a couple of things about the show that are, I'd say they're making us pretty happy. Um, the first thing is that the downloads for the show is up 57% from this time last year. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, that means we're enjoying some nice organic growth to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was, we're not going to dive into all the stats and everything else, but I just wanted to mention that, you know, can you guess, Dave, what the most popular show was for the year?
Well, knowing that I can actually see the notes and I see what it was, and I knew you told me, I wouldn't have guessed that. I really wouldn't have guessed it. I probably would have guessed it was around the new phone release, but I would have guessed it was when you talked about your new phone and hands on with it.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to look at the notes about what we
Okay.
talked about on that show. And so, folks, what we're talking about is episode 73, and it's called Dave Nails It. So we talked about how Instagram sucks, and are people still leaving it? We talked about iOS 16 came out that very day, and we talked about some things that were photo related. The iPhone 14 was officially announced a few days before that recording, and basically all I had to talk about was my pre-order experience. But then when we looked at our recent photos, Dave's photo of the Cadillac was what I raved about, because to me it was the best picture he's ever taken, hands down, in my opinion. And I mean, he's taken some bangers since then, but that was for the whole year, that was my favorite picture. And if you want to go to the website and look up episode 73, 73, wasn't it? Yeah, 73.
Yeah, 73.
And you'll see that the picture of that car, and dadgum, it's a good one. So that was it had more plays than any other episode throughout the year. So whether it was the Blue Caddy or iOS 16 or who knows what it was that made it so popular, but it was the big one for the year. So
yeah.
Any thoughts on what your favorite episode might have been, Dave?
Honestly, I'm one of those people who ask me what I had for breakfast and I would have to think about it.
Oh, I know. I hear you. I'm with you.
It's not that the podcast gets to be routine,
it's like trying to pick a favorite
part
pet.
of our routine. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I could never do that, but
yeah.
But it gets to be part of our routine. You know, it's not necessarily routine, but it's part of our routine. And I'm not a great one with memory. To be honest,
I'm with you on that one too.
I write tons. When people at work go, "Oh, how did you remember? How did you?" I took notes. I took notes and I set up automatic reminders. So I get a little pop up in the morning that says, "Do this, do this, do this, do this." Otherwise, it may just, if I try to memorize everything, it'll just kind of completely ignore it. But it's I need to do that. I forgot.
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, I enjoy doing the shows. I really do. And we love the feedback. And the fact that we're getting more listeners, and it's, like I said, it is organic growth. So that it isn't a matter of us putting up more episodes or us advertising, which we don't.
No, we don't.
Or anything like that. I think partially it has to do with, listeners telling other people have a listen, and you being a lot more, I don't want to say being more open, but being out there a lot more, you being interviewed with the iPhone Photo Show podcast.
Yeah.
And you doing the Friday afternoon chats with Shane Moston on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I think that outreach definitely helps getting our information out.
A couple of things that have helped, I think, for sure. And, and I thank those guys for, allowing me to do that kind of thing and giving us the exposure. But I mean, we put tweets out about the show and, things like that. And I don't know what kind of reach that gives us or whatever, but when you said feedback, first of all, I want to thank all the listeners. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It really means a lot to Dave and I. And, like Dave said, we love doing this stuff, and, it's a fun show to do. But when you said feedback, Dave, that's a kind of a bit of a segue into our next quick little point here, which is the iPhoneography podcast group on Facebook. I was on there the other day, and this thing popped up and said something about a messenger chat for the group. Would you like to start this or something like that? And so I said, yeah, why not? So there's, people are slowly joining that thing, and there's probably like 40 people in it now. And I can split it into like rooms or something like that. Like Dave, you can do this too because you're an admin. But we can create different rooms or whatever where like if people want to talk about uh, long exposure stuff, you can go into that room and discuss it, and you can join these different parts of this chat thing. I mean, I'm just guessing at all this, but I think that's what you can do because I haven't really dove into it too hard here.
Right.
But the one thing I did do though is I asked in just the main chat what people would like to hear Dave and I talk about on the show, and so that's a great way to give feedback for the podcast. Like if there's anything you want to hear, go into that chat if you're like it's in the Messenger app on your iPhone or in the Messenger part of Facebook online on the computer, and you'll be able to chime in and let us know what you want to hear. We've got some pretty good ideas. One of them is something that we're going to incorporate into part of the show tonight. It's when we start talking about our photos, we're going to not just tell a quick story about the picture, but we're going to get into, composition and why we did certain things with the image, that type of thing. So that was a really, really good piece of feedback. And, as time goes on, we'll explore the different possibilities with that chat thing and just see where it could take us. So, and thanks everybody for the
tons
feedback.
Of different. Sorry, it almost harkens back to something like a Yahoo group chat.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, where
was
you
never
could
on
have.
There, but
okay, it was a way that you could do let's say in a group. You would have your Yahoo group set up, kind of like a Facebook group, but there's not only this is more asynchronous chat that it's offering, but it offered Yahoo back in the day offered live chat.
Oh, okay.
So you could actually live chat with people in the group, which is not a feature yet, I don't think, with Facebook. I mean, it's live in a way that you can easily go kind of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
But it was.
So what you're thinking, like what you're saying is it's kind of like the live chat in a YouTube live video?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting.
But without, of course, the video, because it was 2002, 2001, 2002, 2003 era.
Yeah.
And we're all on dial-up pretty much. And
yeah, pretty much. And nothing was mobile back then.
Oh, look, it's like, oh, look, a video. Oh, I'm going to download it and come back in 15 minutes and I can watch the whole 15 seconds. Yay.
Yeah, that's about it. So I mean, that's something that we're going to explore more over the next little while and into next year. And I think we could probably have some fun with that. So let's get into what this show is all about this week.
Yep.
It's holiday shooting tips because like we said, we're smack dab in the middle of holiday season. So, what would be your first tip, Dave, for people during this holiday season? What kind of a shooting tip would you have, whether it's subject matter or technique or what?
Yep. I would say it would start with the technique, and that would be keep live photos on.
Yes, definitely.
Because there's a good chance there's going to be animals or kids involved.
As a cat runs in front of your face there.
Yes, exactly.
It looked like it anyway.
No, that she is. She's just kind of going back and forth and putting her tail on the camera here. Move the keyboard to sit on it. But there's going to be kids and animals involved, and trying to get a kid to stay still and to take a picture, it's a pain in the butt. They're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to get a picture of an animal or something going on and, getting that perfect shot, it's not going to happen because they move. Live photos offers a great way to do it. And by using something like motion stills from Google, you can actually stitch together live photos and create a video. Remember, not only is the motion captured, the audio is also captured with the live video, with the photo. A live photo. So you can actually stitch together using motion stills or whatever you want to use and create that. Or if you use the memories feature, which we will talk about in a bit,
Mm-hmm.
when it automatically selects what it wants to do, it can take it and use basically use a live photo as a video.
Yeah.
So it's get a little extra motion in there. And I don't
Yeah.
think I remember when live photo first came out years ago, people said that the quality isn't as good and it's not as crisp, it's not as clear. And
Yeah.
I think that's been taken care of. I really
Oh,
do.
yeah.
It's really hard for me to notice a difference.
Yeah. I would say if you have anything like an iPhone 11 or newer,
Yeah.
the quality is going to be pretty good.
Yeah. And like I said, almost all my photos are live photos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of um, night mode photos,
Mm-hmm.
I keep live photos on. So you really don't lose that much of a quality. Plus, most people honestly look at if you're blowing it up to like a 8 by 10 or, trying to do like a larger photo, shoot in RAW, which isn't, of course, a live photo. But if you're going to do that, shoot in RAW for a little extra help.
Mm-hmm.
But most people are going to view it on their phone or their iPad or computer screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
most people are not going to view it on the computer. They're going to view it on an iPad or maybe a TV if throw it as a photo as a slideshow on Apple TV or Google or Chromecast.
Yeah.
So my big thing is use live photos. They will save you
Yeah.
so much.
And to that point, Mike James from Australia, who runs the smartphone photography training, I think it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, he's going to shoot me for forgetting, but he got a live photo of his mom before she passed away, and he cherishes that 3-second piece of media because he can hear her voice, and that in itself is probably, it's just priceless. The memories that you can get from a live photo are just priceless. To be able to hear what was going on and then see it. And so a live photo, as everybody should know by now, it records video a second and a half before and a second and a half after you press the shutter. So it's actually, when you have live photos turned on, your phone is actually ready all the time because in order to get that second and a half before. Don't worry, it's not saving anything to Apple servers or nothing like that. It's all done on the device. And so the privacy is good, but that's what it does. That's how it works. And if you want to keep those memories alive, that's the best way to do it, is with live photos, other than, of course, shooting video. But when you're taking photos and you've got live photo on, the ability to keep those memories is just priceless. So that, I think, is a really, really good tip. So I'll move into kind of the same thing, but with family photos. Have you ever tried taking a family photo and hoped to get everybody's eyes open? Or smiling or something? Live photos is one way, but I think another way is burst mode. If you took a family, if you're in the photo, that's different. I'll get to that in a second. But if you're just taking a group photo of family members, use burst mode. And to do that, you tap the shutter and then quickly, almost in one motion, slide it towards the image preview thumbnail in the corner. If you went the other way, you'd start a video. So you want to do a live or a burst mode shot, you drag your finger down to where the image thumbnail is. When you do that, you're shooting at 10 frames per second, unless the lighting is poor. It might be a little slower, but you can sit there and you can just hold it for who knows how long. I'm sure there's a threshold, but to get the job done, you'll be fine. But take that burst mode, and then you'll be able to pick from all these different images, and you're bound to have a good shot where everybody's got their eyes open. Um, Now, if you are going to be in the photo and you have your phone set up, say on a tripod, and you're going to use the self timer, at least with that, it will shoot a burst of 10 images when you use the self timer on the iPhone. So that's a good thing too. That'll be a bit of a saving grace for trying to get everybody with their eyes open. Now, if you're anything like my mother, she cannot stop laughing when she gets in front of the camera. She just can't do it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just nerves. I know she doesn't like getting her picture taken, but you know, when she's in the frame, and if I'm just taking the picture, I just got to sit there and hold it on burst mode until she stops laughing, and then I might be able to get a decent picture. But anyway, that's another handy tip right there. So you want to tackle another one here, Dave?
Sure, sure. And I would say this is more for the later phones, if possible. If it's dark, don't use a flash.
No.
Because generally flashes, on-camera flashes, even including the DSLR. If you notice, professional photographers almost never use the on-camera flash.
Mm-hmm.
They always have someone else off. So I would say if you have a scene you can take a photo of without a lot of movement, use night mode.
Yeah.
Even handheld, 3 seconds. It's amazing the type of images you can get out there.
Yeah,
but
for
if
sure.
you need, but if it's a scene where, it's a little on the dark side, get something else to light the room. If you're taking photos of something and you want,
even if you have another
someone,
phone, put the light on it and hold that up off to the side or something.
Exactly. And you want to move it pretty far away, and that'll help. Or best case would be if you had two, one on either side.
Oh yeah.
And the one thing, and this is something I've heard and tested, and it works out. If you want to lessen how harsh the the light is, move it closer to the subject. It almost sounds counterintuitive that if you think, well, I'm getting closer with the light, wouldn't it be harsher? It isn't, because it's so close it fills in any of the gaps and doesn't leave shadows. So it leaves a much cleaner look to the photo.
Oh yeah.
So, but that really only works for if you have a subject that's willing to stand or stay in one location.
Yeah.
And, then you can take the photo and, but again, try to if it's kind of dark, unless there's a reason you can have it dark and you want to take photos, turn the room light on, but if you can get a thing where, let's say you're posing somebody or posing a child, it won't work with it unless the animal's staying there anyway. It won't work with animals. But let's say you want to get a shot by the Christmas tree light. It's going to take 2-3 seconds to have that come through. It'll come through great, but you got to make sure that kid's going to stay there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you may need to change your expectations of what you can or cannot do.
Yeah. The iPhone will compensate for, like what you mentioned, hold the iPhone with the light source closer to the subject. The iPhone will compensate for that extra brightness and by toning it down. And and to make sure that happens, when you tap to focus, that's setting the exposure too. So, take advantage of the capabilities of the camera system in the iPhone, and set your exposure. And if it is too bright, drag your finger down a little bit on the screen and it'll bring down the exposure. If it's too dark, drag it up and it'll brighten it up a bit. But those are great ideas for taking pictures of people in low light conditions. And Dave, you mentioned lights, so that could go with decorations. And he just sent me a picture of his Christmas tree. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now this is in a dark room.
In a dark room, night mode. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, dark room, not lit, and just handheld.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that
it's a
is
white
pretty
tree.
cool. Yeah.
And it didn't blow out the tree, and the cat in underneath the tree.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Yep. So she
Yeah.
was just standing there and she was still, and I tried not to get too close because if I, well, at least with our dogs and cats, if you come up to them with the camera out, like you're like the phone out, like you're taking a picture, they will come up to you immediately and put their nose right on the lens. Like, what you
Yeah.
got there?
Yeah.
So I had to as far enough away where I wouldn't disturb her.
Yeah. So yes, and so decorations is another great subject for
Mm-hmm.
holiday shooting. The tree, all the outdoor lights, anything that's only up this time of year. A wreath on a door, makes a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of things that you can experiment with, and if you have a 13 Pro or a 14 Pro with the macro feature, you can go right up close and do some
Mm-hmm.
macro shots of some of the decorations, some of the ornaments, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we'll segue this into food photography. I mean, there's always food around this time of year.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, the same goes with the food. You can really get creative with food photography, doing like macro shots
Mm-hmm.
of food.
Yep.
Put together a game, do some macro shots of food or decorations or something, really, really, really close as you can get, and then have a game with somebody by saying, "What is it?" And if they got to guess
Mm-hmm.
what it is. That's
Yeah.
always a fun activity to do. So, but yeah, these are great ways to spend time during the holidays. And then what do we do, Dave, when we got all these pictures on our camera roll?
Well, there's the thing is that there's so many ways you can make slideshows and non-boring slideshows.
Yeah.
Now you could go the full manual route and use something like iMovie.
Hmm.
And that's that. I don't want to say it's a lot of work, but there is some work involved with having that set up.
Yeah. But there's easier ways.
Um, there are. So one way is if you select. Now this is when I do slideshows for events. What I'll do is I will select the photos I want to put in the slideshow and move them to their own folder. And
Or
I'll
album.
name the
Yeah.
folder or album, yeah, to a very specific thing. So it's, first of all, easy to remember coming back to it. An example would be like I took a Christmas lights from last year. We took a bunch of photos. I called it Christmas Lights 2021.
Hmm.
There were other ones where our one cousin's wedding, put it as, her wedding and the year, just so it's easier to do.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is once everything's in a album there, you can just click on it, go into your album, and then on the upper right, where right next to the select, there's three little dots. And it tells you how you can share the photos, add the photos, rename the album, blah, blah, blah. But almost near the bottom, there's play memory video. So if you click on that play memory video, the phone will start to collect highlighted photos, including live photos. So if it's a live photo, this is something unfortunately out of your control, which one they select live, which one they don't use as a live photo. But it will select some as a live photo and it'll play the photos in a slideshow with music. And you can go in, you can say, oh, you know what? I don't like that photo after all, or you can take that off. You can't reorder it, unfortunately, so it's in chronological order. But then you can say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. And then when you're done with it, you can actually output that as a video. So
Yeah.
you can post it as a reel in Instagram, Facebook reel, if you wanted to do that. And the nice thing is Apple gives you a lot of music choices
Yeah. It's just
when you're
like
doing your video.
it's just like
Yeah.
the regular memories feature, right?
Yeah.
In the
Exactly.
For You section of the
Mm-hmm.
Photos app.
Mm-hmm. So, but you're
Uh,
selecting to have a little more control over it.
yeah, yeah, and you can use music from your music library, but just be careful not to share that online. They tend to,
You may
like
get taken down. Yeah.
Facebook will tend to, or Instagram will flag it. They'll see that it's copyrighted and they won't let you upload it. But there is
Right.
some in the categories. There's a lot of different types of music where you can put those on and they will go through fine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Generally, like I had one instance where it came up and said something about this song, but I think it still allowed it. Maybe it was on
Hmm.
YouTube, but it still allowed it. It said that this song is copyrighted, but they're letting it go or whatever it was. It said, I forget. But yeah, so don't use something like like a Mariah Carey song or something like that, because chances are if you go to post it online, it's going to get
It's going
stopped.
to get you.
But if
Yeah.
you just send it to somebody and they're just going to watch it on their device, then
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. You can do that. Or if you're going to play it
Well,
on
I'll
your
say
Apple TV or whatever.
there are ways around that too. There are ways around that. So I'm first of all, I'm not a fan of the real creation inside of the Instagram app,
Oh yeah.
because basically what they're pushing is reels, Facebook is pushing is reels or TikToks. A lot of times are just slideshows. Some of them are videos, some of them are people talking, but you can do slideshows.
Mm-hmm.
And the creation app, the creation part inside of Instagram, I think stinks. It's just not good. You don't have the greatest selection of music. It's not the best thing ever. However, inside of TikTok, they do have a very good, and TikTok, the parent company of TikTok bought an app called CapCut, CAPCUT.
Mm-hmm.
That's at no cost, and that is a great little short video editor. So you can select your photos, you can change transitions, you can put not just filters on it, but different little bits on it. You can select music, and since the app paid for the rights to the music, your video will not be taken down
So
if you
these are
post.
in
In fact,
CapCut or as well,
in
or
CapCut, yeah, yeah,
oh, okay, but
yeah.
only if they're posted to TikTok, they'll be fine.
Well, definitely the TikTok will be fine. I don't know about Instagram, or if Instagram will say, "Oh, you're using this music. We're noticing it. Therefore, this attached to attached to the group that's using that same
Yeah.
music."
Okay.
Also, posting it without monetization generally is fine.
Oh
If you're
yeah.
trying to
Okay.
monetize something with music, that's when they really come after you hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with YouTube Shorts. But yeah, and the one nice thing is inside, I think definitely inside TikTok, and I think inside of CapCut, they do have where if you're talking, um, it will close caption it for you
Okay. Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little touch, especially if you're in a very crowded room, and you have narration going on, because you can voice over slideshows in both apps. And Apple Clips does the same thing,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
where it will actually basically create a closed caption of what you're saying.
Okay.
So if you're if you're wanting to do it on an Apple TV or just a TV and have it play, but it can be a little hard to hear, you can actually have it put the words on the screen.
Well, that's cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so getting back to the memory video, another thing about that is that you can output it as a vertical video for Reels or TikTok type of thing, but you could also just tilt your phone sideways and it'll create it all in like landscape mode.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a title for it and all that stuff. So it's basically like when your phone comes up in the Photos app and says you've got a memory of say an event or something like that you're at. It's basically the same thing. You can go in and customize it and make it your own. And like Dave said, select the pictures you want, all this stuff, but you can't rearrange them. I think my dog wants out of the room here. There you go. And so, customize it, make it your own. And the nice thing about all this stuff is you can do this kind of quickly while the family's still there, and then share it with everybody or show it on the TV or whatever. So, these are a great way. Remember when the iPhone 5S came out, Dave, and there was a commercial about, it was right around Christmas time. The family's all coming to the house, and this kid, a teenage boy, was just kind of sticking to himself, doing his own little thing with his phone. And you have to wonder, okay, what's this kid doing? Is he just like playing video games, or what's he doing? And then at the end of the commercial, it shows him hooking it up to the TV and showing pictures and video of the family that he did, while they weren't looking or whatever. But that's what he was up to. He was up to putting this stuff together. And this was before memories came out, like the whole memory video thing came out. So I guess he was just doing it through iMovie or whatever. But that's what he was doing. And boy, what a great way to, cap off the day when the family's all together, put these memories together and in a slideshow or something, or a movie or whatever, and play it on the TV at the end, whether you have Apple TV or most TVs nowadays, if you're on the same Wi-Fi network as the TV is, you can bounce it right to the television. So
yeah,
it's a real fun thing to do. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that's about all I have for holiday shooting tips. Can you think of anything else, Dave?
I would say the last tip would be, don't be afraid to take pictures. Also, one thing you don't necessarily, there are certain times you do want to stage a picture and have people pose a certain way, but the best pictures are the ones that aren't.
Oh yeah.
And that is the one advantage of of using a phone as the camera, is that you can just say, "Hey, look this way," and then you get the unexpected, or something's happening. Exactly. Yeah. And try something that take if you're in a weird angle, like an over the shoulder angle or something like that, don't hesitate to take pictures. I mean, people are not going to be mad at you, especially if it's family gathering or something like that, for taking too many pictures, unless you're literally in the way. But most people don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
That's a great tip. Yeah, don't be afraid to take some shots. I mean, it's digital. If you get too many and you have to dump some, go through them and dump the bad ones, type of thing.
Dump some, yeah.
But yeah, just chances are you're going to be fine. So snap away, try some video. Oh boy, there's all kinds of options when it comes to an iPhone, and have fun with it. So, well, I guess we'll wrap up part 1 of episode 80. So just real quickly, tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure. You can find me on most social media as ProfPod, except for TikTok. You can find me there as ProfPodPGH. And on the Facebook group as Dave Podner Jr.
Alrighty. You can find me on the iPhoneography podcast Facebook group. A couple other groups there. Shane Mostyn's mobile photography group, and I'm still posting to Instagram a little bit, Macmillan Photo there. And you can find both Dave and I on Mastodon, and the links will be in the show notes. because they're too convoluted to even mention. But if you're over there, you can have find us there and follow us, and we'll follow you back. And don't forget to go to the website, iPhoneography.ca, and link in the show notes for that too. And all the episodes where we do our recent photos and stuff like that now, we'll have them on there. You can look at them if you don't want to look at them on your device, but check them out there and see what we're talking about. So, alrighty. Well, thanks, Dave. Until the next one.
Oh, well, great.
We'll see you then.
Have a great one, everyone.